Hey folks, back with another video. Let's dive into what stories got my attention. The European Union welcomes Libya's ceasefire, which was announced by the President of the Presidency Council, Fayez al Siraj, and Speaker of the House of Representatives, Aguila Saleh. Now, the Government of National Accord is recognized by the United Nations and the European Union. The announcements also talked about calls for an election to be held in the coming in the March next year, basically. Now, domestically, the truce has been agreed by an ally of Marshal Khalifa Haftar, Libya's warring rival admin- administration in, I believe, the eastern side of Libya. Now, Libya's various warring rival factions and their administrations have also announced that they would cease all hostilities and will hold the nationwide elections separately. Now, the only problem with holding election is if its fairness can be ensured and the results accepted. Now, hopefully, the ensuing peace can create a space to do the necessary work to build the infrastructure to hold these elections. Good luck to the Libyan people. Moving on, Turkish air and naval forces conducted joint training exercises in the Aegean Sea, raising the tensions with its neighbor Greece. Now, Turkey has sent vessels in the Mediterranean Sea to conduct survey in territories exclusively claimed by Greece. This was something I did talk about in I believe, in the past. Now, the situation is becoming more complicated as France has sent warships and planes to join Greek ships in the area. On top of that, the Greek officials announced that the United Arab Emirates would also dispatch fighter jets to the island of Crete to conduct joint exercises. While the relation between Greece and Turkey have been tense, but Erdogan's past actions in Libya's civil war has angered the French, and add to that the UAE is in a sort of a rivalry with the Erdogan over the political Islam, and also the two countries back different factions in Libya. Now I believe Erdogan may soon reach the end of the line for how much he can push, and he will meet strong resistance against his expansionist foreign adventures. Moving on, how should we counter the Chinese Communist Party? I mean, what can we focus our attention on? Now, we in the West must focus our attention on Beijing's inability to rule. We must raise concern about how Beijing has abandoned its legal obligations and, on top, has mismanaged the country to such a level that there are constant law and security problems in the country, all because of Beijing and in specifically because of Xi Jinping. Now, one more thing that this piece talks about is that we can pressure Beijing via Hong Kong. Now, I did not realize that Hong Kong is the city where a majority of international trade takes place in mainland China. Now, there is a clear path of tightening the screws on Hong Kong every time Beijing violates human rights or passes any new draconian laws. I think that this kind of a policy of targeting officials and specific institutions is better than an outright war. And plus, considering the fact that it will be in always in retaliation to the Chinese people can see that it is their government that is responsible more so than the West. Moving on, Taiwan commemorated a key military clash and the last time the Taiwanese forces fought with the mainland China. That was in the year 1958. Now, Taiwan had fought to a stalemate on the island of Kinmen Island, it was the island of Kinmen, with the United States support in the form of military supplies. Now, the commemoration was attended by Taiwan's president, I believe her name is Tsai Ing-wen, and uh, she laid a wreath and bowed in respect with Brent Christensen, head of the American Institute in Taiwan and the de facto representative for Washington in Taiwan, standing behind the president as a symbolic gesture. Kinmen Island is a few miles away from Xiamen, a Chinese metropolis. Now, this will most likely ruffle some feathers in Beijing. Now, let's see how they react, and we'll see how they react. And finally, the Republican Party has prepared an in person convention where President Donald Trump will appear on every night of the convention. But the thing that caught my eye was the couple Mark and Patricia McCloskey from St. Louis, Missouri, better known on the internet as Ken and Karen, and Nick Sandman, the Kentucky teenager who was in the Washington wearing a MAGA hat, who inadvertently was part of a protest that he didn't even know he was part of. Now, these people are in the lineup in the Republican convention. It seems that the Republican convention is bound to be exciting, unlike the snooze fest the Democratic convention was. I guess in the next couple of days, there's going to be all kinds of news, both exciting and maybe, let's just say, some new memes will come up in the internet. Now, that's it for this video. If you like the video, then hit that like button and hit that subscribe button for future updates. I will see you in the next video.